Last week we spoke about opening up tin cans, tuna cans, and so on. So someone asked, and I mentioned in passing about opening up soda bottles. Plastic bottles will have a cap, they have a seal, and I said something, and that is that these bottles, like this for example, the bottles that have a neck is mutter, and the other ones that have a band is also. So people ask why. So I realized that it's taka with kasha. So let's look inside. There is three issues that involve when you're opening up a bottle, a plastic bottle, taking off the cap. One is the malacha machat. Looking out at the Shulchan Aruch, a person that cuts the leather for a special measurement. He wants to have a piece of leather for a strap, or make a shoe, a sandal. This anytime you're cutting anything in a special measurement, that you want this measurement, that is a terlus machatach, that's machatach. You're going to koita b'reish hanoitz shul dak verach veroi litna bekara bekeses. For example, a person's filling up a pillow. Today you go and buy a pillow, but in those days it was a big malacha. As they came back from the sheikhat's house, they would take the feathers that they would pluck, and then they would cut off from the feather the soft part. You don't want to add it. You don't want in the middle of the night get this that thing into your neck. So you got to cut off. So you're a mechatach. You want a certain measurement. You want the end, which is the soft part.
Even though this is a kilkul.
Where is the kilkul?
On the bottom.
Right.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
Exactly. But the top, it's a big tikkun. So it's chayiv. Because he wants a certain measurement. The top of the beams or whatever, he needs it to be a certain measurement. Pieces of wood that he needs in a certain measurement. Big pieces, he doesn't care what the size is, big or small. There's a concept of a zilzul Shabbos. Still, there's a concept of zilzul and Shabbos. There's no muktzah, but still there's zilzul Shabbos. Anything which is tolush from the ground, and there is no ma'isa choil, there's no zilzul Shabbos, you're allowed to cut. If you're not making a keli through cutting it, as we'll talk about in Simon you go to the store, they sell these rolls of I forget what it's called, the type of rope, and then
wine.
And you tie it. For example, if you make a turkey and you stuff the turkey and you don't want the stuffing to fall out, so you tie the legs. Or if you have rotisserie chicken and for some reason there's gate nashtarangut, and you tie it up with a rope. Now Friday night when you take it out of the oven, you're allowed to cut it because this is not machatach. You're not looking for a special midah here. Let's go now to Malachas Kodeya. I just want to explore the Malachas first, and we'll talk about the Lomdas.
We're not connecting it to the cap?
No, I'm not connecting it yet. I'm just talking about what Malachas these Malachas are. Afal Pi, the Alter says.
Some people put like the vegetables in the soup in the net.
That would be a different thing. If you're opening the net or closing the net, is the issue of Machatach or Kodeya. But the putting it, taking it out,
like the turkey.
Yeah. He was asking something else. If you could take it out, if it's boided or not boided, that's a separate malacha.
It's tied mara.
Okay, I don't want to go into that malacha. I don't know. Some people it's because they throw in the garbage. So-
it's used only to give the soup.
Right, some
taste.
people are taking it out just to put it in the garbage.
Well,
For them,
it's toiv and a toiv, actually.
Huh?
It's toiv and a toiv.
For some people it's
No,
not.
because there's always going to be chicken soup in it. So I mean, a person that's...
I don't want to argue about that, Malacha. I want to get to this Malacha. Malacha is Korea. Zog the Alter Rebbe, the Shulchan Aruch, some machine man, Afa Pishach Etichas Tolish Muteres, Lachatchila. Even though that if you have a piece of Tolish, Muteres Lachatchila, Kshen Makta Lachatche, Memida, Kemeshkos Hashem Shin Yudalat, if you're not makbet, have a certain mida, you could cut it. If you're going to want to make something through this, so then it's a tikkun kli. That a person takes this wood and he chops off a little bit in order to have a toothpick to clean out his teeth. That's a malacha. It's still also to do. That you're not allowed to do all these things because I'm talking about because you're attacking kli. Aval mishum kodeya ain't isur. Say a person in the case where a person takes a piece of toothpick off the wood, that's not called kodeya. It's called matakin kli because you made a toothpick, and that's also or maybe chayev. But it's also to do for sure. But don't tell me that's Kodeya, says the Alter Rebbe. Why? There's the big Chiddush of the Alter Rebbe that I mentioned last week. Ela k'shekordea o mafred gufim rabim sheneschabru k'goyin Kodeya beged o org mechutim meharbe aval anayir shul guf echad ein bepisikosem chituchim mishum Kodeya. Paper is not shayach. There should be Kodeya. Leather, wood cannot be Kodeya. Only thing that can be Kodeya is a beged which has a lot of chutim. Therefore, you could tear off the piece of leather that they used to have instead of a cork on top of the barrel of wine. But if he's not makbet a certain midah, then there's no kriya. So here's the big chiddush that the Alter Rebbe has in Korea.
When he says that it's guf echad, he means guf echad with the barrel or by itself?
No, he means to say on itself, not with the barrel. He's saying that the piece of paper or the cork,
leather that's on
right,
top of
the leather that's on top, the leather itself is one thing. So therefore, there's no, if you're going to tear it, there is no Korea. Korea is only when something is, if you weave together a beged. In other words, the Alter Rebbe is saying, in the base of Mikdash, there were two things. When they cut the leather, that was machatach, and when they cut the cloth, that was kereya. But you can't mix one with the other. That's the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe.
Cloth was for...
The cloth was also for yediyas, but there were two types of yediyas. There was yediyas that was made from animal, which is...
what was the difference between the cloth and the yediyas?
That this one, when you
cut... There was an oireg?
Right, yeah.
By which one?
By the first and the second one. The first, there were three layers. The top one was oidos, choshim, elim odama were oidos, and the middle and the lower one were made out of cloth that they wove together.
Like linen could be?
It was from noitza shel izim. There was all kinds of stuff that were. I mean, there was.
So that's still leather.
That's not leather.
Sheilos? Like
no, it was regular wool. It was wool.
So that's wool isn't leather?
No, wool. You take thread. The women used to take the thread and put it.
Oh, right.
And take the thread. And it was a special malacha.
Isn't that beged or any two things that's
anything that's made as a beged that it was that you weave together shesi ve'edim. Otherwise,
beged is not something that's
that one thing.
So that's more problematic. The weave.
The weave has the problem. Anything that's weave has a problem of kodeya. Big chiddush of the Alter Rebbe is
why again? Why?
Why? Because Alter Rebbe holds that we learned it from the Beis HaMikdash, and the Mishkan, the kodeya was only by the material and by the leather. When they cut, it was called machatach.
But didn't they cut either one? If you're going to cut it, you're going to cut
it
scissor,
either way
right?
with scissors.
Doesn't matter.
One, yeah.
Wow.
The Alter Rebbe holds that the idea of kodeya is only shayach by material that's basically made out of, for example, wool or whatever, but threads. That there's threads. I'm giving an example of wool. And if it's leather, it's not shaykh kodeya b'chlal. It's a huge chiddush. This makes a big kula. For example, a person has tissue paper and doesn't have Shabbos tissue paper. He's already in the bathroom. So, all this is a beautiful sefer, 4 volumes. Lamates Malachas. There's other svarim that talk about so what happens? You're now in the bathroom. Shine. What do you do? What do you do? So you have a roll, and they have lines, perforated lines, and that's l'chorida l'chola adei is called mechatich. Why? Because there's a midah yodua. Then you are now tearing it on that midah yodua. That means you want this midah.
It's like in the base of me. It's more like or. Oh no!
This is paper. According to the Alter Rebbe, you can only have here a malach of mechatach, not kereh. So according to the Alter Rebbe, the eitz is very simple. If you don't tear it on the perforated lines, if you tear it not on the lines,
No, in the middle of
even not kalachayat, if you just tear it not on the lines, so then you're not mechatach. You're also not kereh because it's not material. It's made out of paper. But the Mishnah Berurah Beferish argues in the Alter Rebbe. He brings the Alter Rebbe, he argues in it.
Well, they had it back then? They had 12 years back then?
No, they had paper, and he says it's not true. He says also on paper there's the malach of kereah.
Oh, wow.
So therefore, in the Welt, they have a big problem with it. What should you do? So one eitzah they have is
just use it and then flush it.
Use it and flush it. But if it's a public bathroom, not everyone is happy to come into a bathroom that's covered abrius in a very strong way. In your own house, you know yourself. It's yourself, and maybe one of your children. If you come into a bathroom in a Beis HaKnesses or a Beis HaMedrash or a social hall, and you see, sometimes it happens on Shabbos. It's mos. It's mos mamish. You see that the roll of the toilet paper is some very from
As
Yiddish.
if it went down.
Yeah, even if it went out, but still, you can see why some people would be nimus from it.
The rope is going down there.
Yeah, even though the water is sort of clean, but
So then can you do it with according to the Alter Rebbe for sure, Klachayad, right?
Oh,
even according to the Mishnah Berurah.
right,
Yeah.
maybe kalachayad, that's a big discussion if you can do it. But according to the Alter Rebbe, even if you don't do it kalachayad, it's not a shayla. There's no machatach because you're not doing it on the perforated lines. Especially if you use it first and then you're cutting it. You don't have a midah yudua. You don't care. You just want to get the garbage into the toilet bowl. The only malacha that's left here is that maybe you're koireya. But the Alter Rebbe holds it's not shayach koireya here. There is no koireya. You're talking to the wrong person. The Alter Rebbe says there's no koireya. So according to the Alter Rebbe, there's a big kula when you're stuck Shabbos without Shabbos tissues. The Welt, they have a kunst that they do it like kalachayad. It's not easy to do kalachayad.
That's Klachayad, you do it between two fingers.
Oh yeah, you can do it that way. I just give an
That's
example.
Klachayad.
Yeah, okay. You can do it. Yeah, there's a lot of funny ways you can do a kalachayad.
As long as it's not your regular way.
Right, as long as it's not your regular way. Yeah, I'm asking. It's fine. We're saying that it has to be kalachayad, or use service.
Oh, like they do in California. You know the Zen Californians, the Zen. Like,
What are they, indigenous people?
No, the Chinese, the Japanese. Everything's simplicity,
Uh-huh.
minimalistic,
Uh-huh.
minimalism.
Uh-huh.
Minimal taxes.
Yeah, minimal waste, green footprints.
Okay, let's go to the next malacha, and then we'll talk about how this applies to plastic bottles. Malachas boina and also makam bepatish, which is more important even here. The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, and we spoke about it last week, talks about there's a machloikis. You're not allowed to break. There's openings of these containers. If you lose the key, you're not allowed to break a keli. Because there are Vishonim, Tosfos, and others that hold that just like the Yesh Binyan Vestida, there's also Yesh Binyan Vestida Bekelim. That you're not allowed to build a keli or destroy a keli. So the Alter Rebbe holds Mekomak Melinoch, Yesh Lahokol, B'Mishvida, B'Masar, Tzidim, V'Chashukim. Through a go, you can be makel. Okay. So now let's bring it all together. Bottom line is like this. Sefer Shmini Shabbos Kolchasa brings from Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. First, he has a whole chapter about opening up cans and containers. It's chapter 9. In the beginning, he says that the best eitzah is make sure before Shabbos you open up all the tuna cans and and all the cans and all the bottles. And the emphasis, there are people that Adayam Azan Nizar, they open up the seltzer and they open up the soda and they open up everything before Shabbos. And Tova Alei Brocha, and this is a great thing to do.
You mean even Lubavitchers?
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
When it comes to Lubavitch, we're Mary Mabel.
yeah. So I don't know why. It's not like there is a nekuda from the Alter Rebbe to being makel in the bottles, as you'll see in a moment.
I used to open up before Shabbos,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And then I heard Rabbi Halacha holds, there's no problem. So then I opened it up.
So there is something that goes into this from the Alter Rebbe. So let's go one malach at a time.
One less headache every Shabbos.
Koideya.
Yeah,
You see, in the Elamoshel, what I told you last week is I didn't realize I made a mistake. I said from Shlomo Zalman, but someone based it on it. Shlomo Zalman never said there's a difference. Shlomo Zalman held that it's also to open up
Wow.
the pot. He said there's an eitzah that you should take a knife and poke a hole in the top,
Wow.
and then just like a tuna can, make it. That's what he held. The thing is that they bring that he late. Okay, a lot of his psakim were collected by one of his talmidim, put together in one of the original svarim about Shabbos, Shmini Shabbos Gilchos, which became like a classic today, and there's a ton of other svarim after him. His Rebbe, Rav Shlomo Zalman, went out through the Sefer eventually, and he made some ha'oras. And on this issue, he wrote an ha'orah, which is that he said, you know what, it has charota, that maybe it's nushke ferlach. Originally, he said that it's also, is a maybe there's a kula if you open up and you right away throw out the top. And even that, he wasn't so happy with that kula. But then he said, you know what? What was his problem with opening up? So he said like this: there was three things. Machatach, he said, it's not so much machatach. It's not like you want a certain measurement over here. Koideya. So there is a problem of koideya, but there's a lumdus here. But as I said, according to the Alter Rebbe, there's no problem of koideya here. It doesn't begin to be a problem of koideya. The main problem Shlomo Zalman said he had was here the malacha of boin or makabeh patish. Why?
Taking Kaylee.
Tikkun keli. You're making keli. This was not a useful. You couldn't use it. You couldn't use it. How could you? You can't open and close it. You can't use it as a thing, just like the thing that you toothpick. So you can't use a toothpick until you pull it off from the thing, a loose piece of wood. Same thing here. You can't. It has the seal, so you can't open and close. It's a very useful kli because it keeps the content clean. And if there is bubbles in here, there's carbonation that keeps the carbonation inside. So it's a useful keli. It was not usable before you opened it, and now it's usable. So the bottom line is you're matakin a kli. Yeah.
But it's two separate items. It just happens to be the makar patish was done. Then one added a cap later. It's two separate
No,
items.
not the bottle. On the cap itself.
Is the
the
cap,
cap-
useful now?
Yeah,
What's the cap useful for?
Because if I put this in the fridge, a little bit of dirt goes in.
Oh, the cap is...
Yeah. Or if there's carbonation,
But
the
how can you make
carbonation.
the how can you pull that cap clean? That's called a clean.
Right, what is that? And a toothpick is a kli.
Got it.
We say it could be even
Okay,
chayiv.
but what about the fact that you could get it out without opening it? That you could take a knife and...
Oh, that's gewaldic. If you do that,
No, but
it's
since you
gewaldic.
can do that, you probably can
Very
do
hard.
that.
I know. Very hard. You know
So
that.
why don't we say, since you can do it anyway, that's not really opening because it's open. It's really open already. It's just you're making it easier to open, but it's open
The
already.
truth is,
Like he's saying, like really, it's so flimsy that you could get it open. Not like a Coke can where you have no sprayer.
right,
Over here, it's so flimsy you can take a
So
knife
poking a hole
and
helps
pry it
everything?
through.
right.
Poking a hole helps everything because it's not a keli.
Well,
Isn't that destruction?
no, the poking the hole is a good shiloh. Why it's not destruction? Again, last week we spoke about this, and that there could be, and I don't know if it applies here. So your question is stronger than the answer
Destruction what?
of a keli. If this is you're destroying the keli now. So by the tuna cans, there was a boidik chidush from the Chazon Ish that said it's not a keli to begin with. But I don't know if it applies here. That's a good akasha.
Maybe I just walk on tangents a little bit. Those, you know, you can make seltzer at home. On
Yeah.
Shabbos, you like it for Shabbos?
I don't see the problem, but since you're asking, I don't want to say.
So I think you're
yeah.
right.
Especially when the
We do it all the time, so I hope
when
it's
what if you put a hole in the bottle itself?
on electric.
CO2 cap. Make the CO2.
Is it the same question?
Yeah,
You're
do the
destroying
same
something.
thing.
What's the word? It's malacha.
So the bottom
Not
line
destroy
is,
something, you're being massacring the kli.
Yeah.
Not destroying the kli.
if you-
This problem, this problem is that you think this way you're breaking it. Macabre kli. Over here you're making a kli.
Wait a minute.
The whole here is massacring.
I have an answer for you, but it's very extreme. You have to take a serrated knife and cut the whole top off.
No, that's also
No, that's gonna do.
No, it's already a kli.
Then it wouldn't hold
That's
water.
still, now you're making it a kli.
Doesn't matter.
He just said that make a hole in the same filter bed. Why is that different than making a
I don't
hole?
think it's practical, but I'll ask.
The only reason
No, in this.
the only reason the tuna can.
But then why, what's the difference? You're making it clean either way.
That's not actually anyway.
It's not a keli.
Yeah, right?
So it's not a keli.
No, yeah,
It's not a keli. So it's not soy sauce. The is boiling it, but you're destroying it. So it's not boiling. I don't know.
What about here? If you cut it with a knife here, and you cut off
Right.
the whole top,
So you make it
to
a
get to the
nuclei.
food.
It's a nuclei.
You're making a nuclear. You're also destroying, but you need the food.
Because it's not like a tuna fish. Tuna fish can, you'll never use that tuna fish can again. You don't, you'll never use it. It's sharp, it's dangerous, it's bad.
Yeah.
If you cut that top off, you now have a
But
nuclei.
this was already created. We're not talking about the cap anymore. The cap is gone. We're just cutting the
Yeah,
top.
but it was unusable. We made it clean, now
This was
usable.
already a created vessel. So this was added later.
No, but it's not, right now it's
But it's
nothing.
two separate pieces.
Right now it's nothing.
I'm not sure
tough.
anyone wants to do this. It's a big malacha, it's a big avoida, not a malacha as lamates malachas, but it's a Lapoil, Reb Shlomo Zalman later, Seif Yom decided, you know what? He had this idea, you know, that this little thing, that really the cap is a cap beforehand. And this thing is only like, you know, in the olden days, they used to have a cover to a bottle, and in order to keep the cover on the bottle, on the chavis, they used to put a little bit tit, a little bit of glue. So it's not like, you know, this is really a keli before. It's a keli, it's usable. And the factory has, for example, these covers are not created when they go on. There's like a misconception that as if there's a flat piece of plastic and then it goes on the bottle and becomes. The factory makes bottles and covers, tens of thousands of them, and they have bottles and they have covers. They have a machine that puts the. Why is this thing here? And just to protect for freshness or to know that no other consumer had it before. V'chulu v'chulu. Sometimes it's required by law even to have. She said it's like the keli is a keli before and is a keli after.
Well,
And-
it's safer because you can't. People used to paint bottles,
Right.
put stuff in.
So it's like it's like the teeth, just like in the old days, that they would put in order to tamper-proof, in order to make sure that no one was when they sold the chavis shel yayin. So it was there was the chavis, there was a cover, and then they put a little bit of glue. So this is not, you're not making the keli. The cover was a cover yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You didn't make anything. Don't think to B'Sazagrai Sayata Badam that you made something. This is a cover. And the truth is, someone said a svara here before, that the truth is that even this, if you work really hard, you can put a knife inside and pop it open
Easy.
without taking off the bottom. So the it's a garnish. It's a kli that was yesterday a kli, today a kli, and tomorrow a kli. Without, if you take a toothpick off a wood, you can't put your teeth into it. You have to take it off. Now you turned it into a toothpick. So it wasn't useful, now it is useful. This cover was useful yesterday, today, and tomorrow before you touched it. And as we said, you could even put a knife inside and pop it open. So they decided that it's not really a malacha.
Was
So
this always one piece, the top and the ring?
apparently it seems like it was one piece. Elamai, they perforated.
But when they make it them both. So I mean,
They make
it's a little bit different than the tit because the tit and the cover are two separate things.
Yeah, exactly. It's a chiddush. That's why I like the word that you're saying, to add to it, that the emes is, it's a nice word, that you could pop it open, you could put a knife and pop it open. So that adds to the word to Reb Shlomo Zalman that says that
not
you
really
didn't do
nothing.
anything.
Yes,
You
no.
didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. Now what's left here is machatach. Then you don't want a certain midah, you're not looking to make. But koireya is the problem. The only problem that remains here is, are you doing koireya? Now if you hold like the Alter Rebbe,
It's like weed.
it's not weave. But if you don't hold like the Alter Rebbe, so then there is populam about it. They have the Acharayim talk about this. But for us, it's not such a big discussion because the discussion ends here. Koireya is not a discussion for us. It's a non-starter. The Alter Rebbe paskin that way. it's funny because I see in the Sefer, like this Sefer that says there's last week I told you that there's a difference between this type of bottles and the one that has a band. So I still don't understand. I look back in the Sefer, and I don't understand why it should be different. But he says it's different. But I do see that he says that there's a big problem of Korea, and he brings it, even though the Alter Rebbe is Mekel, but already the Alter Rebbe was slugged up. So therefore there's a problem. Okay. Yeah?
When you say there's no midah, we don't want a midah, and therefore it's not Korea.
Yeah.
Korea.
No, not Mechatech.
Mechatech. We do want it to be precise, because if it's any bigger or smaller, then it won't be able to return. You won't be able to return it.
Right, I hear your question. I don't know. The Poskim today don't think it's Mechatech, but I hear your shayla.
Yeah, you can't say we don't care. Of course we care, because ultimately you do want to return it, unless you're going to drink it hot pumice.
Right.
You know, as if you're going to use it one time. So maybe taka, if you have like a guest or you have a Fabregan, so it's not you don't care because you know it's going to get drunk up, so you don't care if it's
Right.
maybe they
Because you don't want to. You're not going to be returning it anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny because all the Kedem bottles, the grapes have this.
The Kedem, they have this,
The
right?
grapes, yeah.
Today, this is the most. I think this is the preferred milk bottles today. Used to be all kinds of different methods. Today, this is like
We changed all the
Yeah.
milk also.
the milk now became this way.
What about the
This
horseradish?
shaila is tzorichim. I don't know. It's a good shaila.
Horseradish has words on the plastic around it.
All the words,
That's a
words.
different problem.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
It's a very
Don't touch it. If it's words, don't touch it. Okay.
Go in between.
What about if there's? I know maybe for a future shear, like when you have these sugar packets, so if 9 out of 10 times you never rip a word, but one time you might get it.
What should you do?
Do you have to not do it, or it's since we go what? Like,
Poke a hole on the side and sprinkle
no,
it.
but you're not. No,
The
you're
ice
not.
creams too.
Yeah, that's possible. That's not a
That's
good idea.
good.
That'll take it 5 times as long.
Don't
No,
put sugar
I'm
in
trying.
the
I'm never on time, so I need to get to the
Here's the
shears.
eighth. Here's the eighth.
What's that?
Don't put sugar in it.
No sugar.
Yeah, Big Chofset once told me, "Don't. What do you have to have for your sugar?"
Yeah.
I said, "So don't put milk in your sugar, in your coffee." And I
What do you want, a
mine.
milkshake?
I'm making.
You
I
want
said,
a
I'll make
milkshake?
it. I've never made a.
I'll get you a
I
milkshake.
never made a shliach that took me up on my offer. He said, "What do you need sugar in your coffee?" He said, "Do a coffee, don't put sugar in your coffee." He said, "When you don't do milk, I won't do sugar." No one ever took me up on it.
No problem.
I'll take you up on it.
You don't drink coffee, so I don't know.
No.
I mean, you drink black coffee.
I drink
See what they're
espresso.
doing here is all empty. No.
Okay, so
That's coffee.
they're
You
Hasidim.
do like this.
They're Hasidim, but sugar in the raw doesn't do this.
Oh no, they have water.
It's very close. It's very close.
So you have
Okay.
to tell them not to do it wrong.
Even also like the Wazowski teas. It's very close. You can get it out, and 9 out of 10 I'll do it. Once with the mold, you get distracted and you go down or something.
Right.
And by accident you do a letter.
Why do some people have teas, like bags in for the whole Shabbos and
Sense.
not use the bag?
That's bishul.
We'll talk about this.
Okay.
I just want to talk about another shaila.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, also, Rabbi, another shayla. That's an excellent shir what he said, because the shir once told me that all teas are cooked. You don't have to worry about it.
I'm not so sure.
Put it into cliche. He says all teas. He says you don't have to ever worry about it.
Oh, the cliche is a whole nother
And the
question.
guy knows he's from China. It's Chengdu.
The whole big shit.
have to go from
Chengdu.
two
Chengdu. All teas are cooked. He told me. So I said they must. I know they drink tea in China,
In
but
China, they're all cooked.
they don't make all the tea in
You
China.
got Chinese tea, you know what I mean?
If you don't touch it, put it in.
Someone asked the shaila.
Okay.
Frankel shul has a social hall, which becomes a shul.
Ah,
Can one finish getting dressed there after going to the mikveh? So that's a shaila. That's a good shaila. The mashal, a lot of shuls that do this, that they have an extra room, and they use it as sometimes.
Backup minion.
Right. So like comes a shayna rab or yom tov, sliches, whenever this. So they bring down a bima and they bring an oren kodesh, and it's chatchila built for that reason. Now there's a mitzvah which is the Parsha as Sarpsoiset Ishmori Mikdoshi Tiro. You're not allowed to do anything that's kalos roish in a base knesset, base medrash. You're not even allowed to talk.
Sichas chulin.
So
And it's a social hall. So go figure.
You call it that. That's not what Rabbi
Not a
Frankel.
sichas chulin, but
Rabbi
it's a
Frankel
social
does
hall.
not. Rabbi Frankel does not call it a social hall.
No, but it says the Frank
Yeah.
Shul has a social hall. It says it.
I know.
Finish a paper that says it over
I
there.
know, but when the Shiloh was written, it didn't say social hall. It said Cheder Sheni.
Chabadnitzah.
No, I should say that. People there consider their kiddush. Maybe it was written social hall, but it was a dual purpose social hall.
Okay, let's look at the Shulchan Aruch. Simon Kuf Nun Aleph. Meshaz bin Yibesek Nesses. His no love l'shtamish boy. If they made a special condition, it's a big sugi in the Gemara. It's Megillah at the end. If you can make a condition when you build a shul, and Chatchila make a condition on certain issues, l'shtamish boy, to use it for other things besides tefillah. Muter l'shtamish boy, but only b'churmani if it's destroyed, but not while it's built. While it's built, your tanai doesn't help. I will be shuva loy mahani. Tonight, most poskim hold that this is a din derabanan. The rabbanan said that we don't want your tanai should work. If you're gonna buy a towels bag and you're gonna make a tanai, that it's not just a tashmisha kedusha or tashmisha mitzvah, then you're allowed to put your sandwich in the bag. But in the shul, you're gonna make a tanai that you're buying or building the shul al tanai that you could eat your sandwich in the shul. Chazal said it's not gonna help.
Well, your shul means once it's built,
or when you purchase it, l'chayda. So,
well, if you convert it before you convert it,
So
before you convert it, you say it doesn't help.
well, Lamaisa, the minig Yisrael is that it does help.
Yeah, what is the
Lamaisa,
issue? It does help.
Lamaisa, okay, because we're makel.
Oh,
Shulchan Aruch is machmir. There's a big discussion here. It's a big shaila, and the bottom line is the lumdus aside. We are makel. We rely on making a tanai. The best thing is the way it was done here in Beis Menachem Mendel, that before it was converted as a shul, it was said befem moli, that this is not this, even though we're using it for tefillah and Torah, that we're going to have kiddushim here and we're going to have breakfast here. V'chulu 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 was said befem moli. However, Acharonim say that no, nish gefährlich, if you forgot to make the tanai, it's as if the whole world knows about it already. So whatever, it's a tanai. However,
this room was never made as a base measure. It was made lechatchila as a kiddush room, a bringing room.
Right. We said it befem
You
moli.
only make it right. No,
We said
I'm
it
talking
befem
about Frank.
Oh, him no, that's even better.
They
I'll
never
get to
made
that
it
in a
as a
second.
shul lechatchila.
I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Right. But
If you make it as I'm saying, you said we can eat it, right? Can you also, once you're eating, is the heck the kapara of Sichas Chulin also still chal?
oh, so that's the shayla. And Moshe Feinstein has a beautiful tshuva. He talks about this, an unbelievable word that the tzaddikim had. Oh, so that there's unbelievable words from the tzaddikim. The Reb Arna Belz was very makbid that a shul should not be called, a lot of tzaddikim, should not be called a shul. A shtibel, a kloiz.
Wow.
Lubavitch didn't call it Beis Medrash, they called it a zal. Reb Arna Belz was makbid that the Oren Kodesh shouldn't be in the middle. It should be movable. It should be a little on the side. So it's not a shul.
Wow.
So
Why bells? And I didn't know why. It's on the side.
right.
That's why they have bells on the Aron Kodesh too.
That's what they have.
People should know that they're moving it.
Bells and whistles.
So what's the reason for this? Because the Tzadikei Elim were very makbid that if Chas v'Shalom a person is going to talk Sichas Chulin in the Beis HaKnesses,
Wow.
so and they also their own tish that was made in the Beis HaKnesses.
Exactly.
So
I was
therefore,
going to ask the other guy, how'd you get her? It was snow deep.
You took my place. You.
Yeah.
yeah,
Beep beep beep.
Even pass me the fish. That's Sichas Chulin.
so right, so, and they were
Miss
also,
Shirayim.
With a fish.
so they said it's not a shul. You're allowed to daven in a room that's not a shul, but the Achronim later say that it's a big difference. These tzaddikim, when they got donations from Balabatim to buy a shul, so it was given. It's clear that it was given al das tzaddik. When Chassidim gave Rabbi Arna Bel's money to buy or build, they gave it whatever the tzaddik wants. The gate center shtad. If a shul makes a campaign and they're collecting money from Balabatim, who says that the Balabatim are maskim that their money they want to give tzedakah? Turns out there's a tanai. It turns a b'chalishka Beis HaKnesses. Who says you can do that? And b'chlal, there's a certain mile of davening in the Beis HaKnesses. These tzaddikim were exuding so much kedusha. So this is the time that Moshe has the tshuva. Others also say so. These tzaddikim, but why should hechi teisi? In other words, why should we build a shul the chatchila that's not a shul? They mamish were makbid. They didn't call it a shul. They called it a kloiz and a shtibel nazal.
I know Stephen Moshe Shayla.
He said that you lose. Number one, you're losing the mila of davening in a Beis HaKnesses. This is not. You made it tonight. This is not a Beis HaKnesses.
But b'shas you're diving. Why can't it, at that moment it be called a basic knesset?
Where's the whole point?
No,
So it's not saying Sichas Chulin.
If
No, but he meant when they're not davening. When you're davening, of course you can't talk Sichas Chilin. That the Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch from Sheilos till the end of davening.
no, b'shas davening you can't talk. No,
But that's what he meant.
We're talking b'shas the tish.
No.
B'shas is the tish that they're talking b'shas the tish.
Right. So
It's not a shul. It's not a shul.
right at that time.
When you daven,
They
a
didn't
million
try
and
to do that.
Why
They
should a
tried to
Balabas
say-
have a problem? If a kid, he gets a bigger schus, because if he gave money and then they go into the tish room, they're not going to be in the room that he gave the money to. For a kid, if they do the tish in the room and they give money, he gets a double schus.
When you daven,
They daven and the
when you
tish.
daven Chol like Six Flags, Mincha, that's a shul now.
I don't go to Six Flags. One yellow flag.
See, it's a yellow flag. Wherever you are.
in
Is that a shul now?
What's that?
Wherever you're davening, in the middle of nowhere.
One yellow flag's never a shul.
That's not a shul. More flags, more flags.
only have
I'll flag that one. I'll flag that one. Super better than
We
that.
ever called some
Flag guy.
defensive base of Medrash.
Oh.
And,
So
there's
there
no
is,
teacher
as I
over
said,
there,
there's
there's
two
no teacher
gedorim.
there, but there's everything
There
else
is
around.
a shul that was built with a Tanai. There is a shul that was built with a Tanai. And Lepoil, we're noyeg that we rely on Lakula, that you're allowed to have Achila the Shatia, but you're not allowed to have Kala Sarosh ever. You're never allowed to have Kala Sarosh, even if you have a shul with a Tanai. You're never allowed to have Kala Sarosh in that shul. But there is a place which is not a shul. So, for example, the Mishnah Berurah brings that what happens if a person is davening in a place, but he finished it, this is not a shul. Why? Because it's like someone said, here's Six Flags. He said this is a hall, and mizman, we're going to use it for davening. Read it inside. Let's read the Mishnah Berurah inside.
Kalut Rosh is also Shikorim.
Kalus Rosh could mean sitting and doing, even less than shikr. Kalus Rosh could mean making jokes and laughing and machin stam lotzanos. So it could mean even sitting, taking a newspaper and starting to do the course, yeah. This is Kalus Rosh. It's like
Sudoku.
Texting.
yeah. Shaklu v'tari achronim after l'maisa noigim lohok. Reifis ge'tshuva anogis and tzadikim shisna shenem etzknes klarak shtibul kosav Mishnah Berurah. This is where I'm holding. Bir aloch l'sham diplomatsk l'shtamish kosav al yerabim hisman l'smal adzan tmoini. He made it tonight in this room. Sometimes we daven, sometimes we don't daven. But it's not like this is a kavudika place. When we need it, an overflow or something. Mishtamish boy kechalois azman kol ma sheyirtzed. El Yerabah says that when the time is up and the davening is finished and the bima is out or whatever, they fold the tables. So now you could use in the room whatever you want. It makes no difference. You could use it. You could do kala saresh there too. But Tzarich Chiyun says the Mishnah Berurah. Huh?
You're on the conversation. You mean to say it wouldn't be as bad as Vera?
No, you'll see soon. But it's sort of chiyun zok the Mishnah Berurah. Bezaz man gufa in kedusha basic knesses alos. Even b'shas you're davening there. There's no kedusha basic knesses. Chlinin kala sarosh nida shiroi lahachim b'teichas man. When the davening is going on, even though it's not like kedusha basic knesses, you shouldn't do any kala sarosh while the davening is going on. But after the davening is over, the Mishnah Berurah agrees that there's no kedusha, there's zero kedusha in this room. Therefore, there's no problem to have kalos rosh. So therefore, bottom line is, in a shul, even though that tanai was made, unless it's a belza shtibel and it was a tzadik, okay, we're relying on a kula that we made it tonight, that we can make a fabrengen, a chsidish fabrengen, we can eat breakfast, v'chulu, but not to have kalos rosh in a shul. But in this room, the befedish was not made as a shul, elamai as a social. Mazman, we use it as a shul. So the chalois azman, not b'shaz the davening, when you're not davening there, takush and manchim, and not to have any chakalos, so you shouldn't walk in there when people are davening and start reading a newspaper, chas v'sholem. But when the time is over, then you're allowed to
How
eat
about
something
to find a
chakalos.
social hall to get dressed?
Yeah.
How come
I
say
never. Well, first of all, the dress it was only just a shirt. The shirt. No, I'm saying I don't know if I think I said it was
I understand.
not to put on another shirt.
That's called
Not to get on my shirt.
getting
Not like he
excited.
does over
You gotta be
there.
careful.
I'm getting excited.
You spend too much time on the left coast.
You gotta be very careful.
well, how can be no kedusha when you have so many svarim here? Even if you don't.
No, there's no
daven.
storm in there.
No, there's no svarim
No
there.
svarim.
There's no svarim there.
But there is a Aron Kodesh
That they agree
that they have till after all the Bochum are gone. And I don't even think there's anything in it. I think they bring it from downstairs to upstairs to downstairs. I don't think. But there is an Aron Kodesh and a bima to like the last day of Nisan in Frankel Shul,
But then they take it away.
and they take it away.
Temporary.
Right. But this is so even here to speak about like sports and things like that when it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to say osa gomer because I don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
You're chayav yidin, right?
Right. I don't want to say these words. But taka, a person should be nizer in the shul. Yeah, we make kiddushim, and the truth is that the kiddushim that we make is to have a Sheilos and Yiddish Shemayim, and the v'chulu. And
Exactly.
and the velt is known to be made, but not for kalos rosh.
Right. Can I say something
Yeah.
else? like even for katana, if a person had a basic isa arrive for katana, was that also a room?
For davening?
Yeah, and I'm saying like, and then they made it. They make. Let's that person.
No, that's not hazmona. No, that's not hazmona. Hazmona means that the room is not for babies. If you bring in a baby potty in a room, there's a concept that a room has hazmona for a beis hakisei, and then you can't daven in that room even if it's in your house.
Rav Sharei.
Yeah, but that's when you take a little potty and you put it into a room. That's not called hazmona for a beis hakisei. What is? Say if an adult chas v'sholom has incontinence, and then that they can't schlep to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then you dedicate a place that the oifen kavua that here is going to be this. So that could be that's considered hazmona.
What about a car? What about a car? In other words,
a bus that has a room inside.
A bus has there's a zaken in the car who can't control his blood, and sometimes he has a company.
No, that's not hazmona for a beis hakisei. I mean, there could
In
be.
the car?
The problem is while the
On the roof.
Yeah, I mean that's not hazmona for a beis hakisei. That's not a hazmona for a beis hakisei. I mean that's a nabach. He has incontinence, so he does. But it's not a hazmona for a beis hakisei.
No, right.
It could be sometimes an old person, Soif Yomam, that's very hard, and they bring in this room. So that could be. You have to be mine. I'm saying that would be to think that maybe that's hazmona for a beis hakisei. Someone asked the Shabbos. This week's Parsha says Sfarat al Shabbos. So it's interesting. I went through with the women about the. So someone asked an interesting shayla. We say Ona B'choyach. So Son Azar just gave us these beautiful cards that have over there for Tzvidas Omer, and at the end it says Omerim Balachash Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay. Omerim Balachash. The Chabad Sidurim it doesn't say that. So someone asked, are you supposed to say that Baruch Shem Balachash or not Balachash?
Because it's not after Shema Yisrael.
Right, because it's not after Shema Yisrael. So I found in Kuntas Iskashus, this is a great guy. He has always these beautiful, as Rabbi Yosef Simcha Ginsburg. He has this little column in the Israeli L'chaim, what they call Tzichat HaShavua. Terrific guy. So he has a beautiful lomdus. He says it's from the Tzlach, really. It's from the Noid of Yehuda. He says depends why you're saying it Balachash. There's a medrash that says there was once a guy that was stealing the jewelry of the queen. And he gave it to his wife as a gift. But he told her, I'm just asking you a favor, never wear it in public.
next to the queen.
So he said to her, don't wear it at all.
So the same thing here. Die Yidden haben zugegangen with this unbelievable jewelry the Malachim give to the Eibishter by saying Baruch Shem. But to say it in public is nicht bekovedik, that we stole it from the Malachim, so we say it quietly. But there's a second reason, the Gemara Pesachim, that says that Yaakov, before he passed away, he said to his children, Shema yesh psul, that maybe there's someone that doesn't believe in Achdus Hashem. So they said, no, Shema Yisrael, you should listen to us, Yisrael, our Father, Hashem Elokeinu. And Hashem Echad, that Shem She'em Belibcha Lechet, Kach Em Belibenu Lechet, we only trust neighbors, that we fear for nothing, v'chulu v'chulu. So they, Miyad Pasach Chazak Amama, Baruch Hashem Kaved Machusay, he thanked the Eibishter that his children. So now the Gemara says, what should we do? There's the covenant of Moshe Rabbeinu and the covenant of Yaakov Avinu. Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah says Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad V'Hafta, and he doesn't say the Baruch Shem. But Yaakov Avinu did say it, so it's a covenant, it's a shayla, the covenant of Moshe Rabbeinu and Yaakov Avinu. So we have a pshara, we say it, but we say it quietly. What's the nafkamina zok tzlach between the two reasons? If the reason we say it quietly is because the covenant of Moshe Rabbeinu and Yaakov Avinu, it's only when you say Shema V'Hafta, Baruch Shem has to be quiet. But any other time when you say Baruch Shem, who cares? You can say it loud. It's not to do with the covenant of Moshe. But if it's the story of the person that steals the jewelry of the queen, and he tells his wife to wear it quietly and never to wear it in public, so then always you should say Baruch Hashem quietly. He brings here that from Kabbalah Sarizal is brought that Taka used to always say it quietly.
Wow.
So, the Pashto Pshat in the Shas is that the real reason to say it quietly is the covenant of Yaakov and the covenant of Moshe Rabbeinu, so you could say it loud. Same thing of Azay would apply to all Baruch Shems according to this. To me, this is a big chidush that when you say in the morning on a B'choyach, when you say Anochech, when you go to sleep, when you say on a B'choyach before the Chadoidi, or you say on a B'choyach by Svidas Omer, that according to this it's Valachash. I'm not sure that that's taken the Minik Chabad, but Lepoil that's brought from the Arizal.
We don't say
And-
Baruch Shem.
Why? Should we do? The last, after on the B'choyach, the last line, we say Baruch Shem. So that's the Sheilos. You say it Balachash or not Balachash. So I don't know what's Lepoil Chabad Minik, But the bottom line is, according to the Kabbalah, you're supposed to say Balachash. Because in the stem,
Doesn't say you should say the lachash.
it doesn't say. And the Lubavitch said it doesn't say. I said, Sasson Azar brought here a card, and over there it says, I don't know who printed, I don't know if it's a Bar Samcha or not. I'm just telling you, it says there, Oimen Balachash, and that's why someone taka asked, you say Balachash or not. But you're not going to get hurt if you say it Balachash. The Eibush is the helpful that we should hear about Vis Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Kodesh Gadol.
Amen. You